What if I told you that your soul didn't randomly land in this life? It chose this path with intention, with fire, with purpose. You weren't born to blend into the background, to follow the crowd, or to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You were born to lead, to innovate, to carve your own trail through the noise of the world. But here's where it gets interesting. What if the very thing that makes you powerful also makes life more difficult? What if your drive to lead sometimes leaves you feeling isolated? What if your independence, your ambition, your need to be the best becomes the very thing that holds you back? That's the paradox of life path number 1. It's not just a label, it's a spiritual blueprint for transformation. And today, we're going beyond the surface. We're cracking open the core of what it means to carry the one energy, its brilliance, its shadow, its untapped potential. If you've ever felt like you were made for something bigger, but didn't know why the journey felt so lonely or intense, this is your moment. Because once you understand your number, you'll never look at your life the same way again. If you're a life path number 1, or if someone close to you carries this energy, this video is more than just an explanation. It's a deep dive into the very essence of what it means to live as a 1. In a world that often doesn't understand you, we're going to unpack everything: the powerful traits that make you a natural-born leader, the intense ambition that fuels your every move, and the visionary spark that pushes you to break barriers and set new standards. But we're not stopping there. We'll also explore the hidden shadows, those silent struggles that can pull you down just as fast as your strengths lift you up. The loneliness of being the one who always takes charge, the frustration of feeling like no one sees your full potential, the tendency to be hard on yourself when things don't go perfectly. And perhaps, most importantly, we'll look at the relationships in your life, the ones that ignite your fire and support your growth, and the ones that challenge your independence or drain your energy. Because life path 1 is not just about self, it's about learning how to lead with others, not just ahead of them. By the end of this video, you won't just understand what life path number 1 means. You'll understand what it means for you, why your soul chose this number, why your path has felt so intense, and how to finally step fully into the purpose you were born to live. Being a 1 is like carrying the torch in a pitch-black forest. Everyone's behind you, waiting, hoping, trusting that you'll light the path. No map, no guide, just your instincts, your fire, and your relentless drive. You are the pioneer, the one who dares to go where no one else has gone. Bold, independent, driven, fiercely original. You're not just someone with big dreams. You're the one who turns dreams into reality. The founder who builds from nothing. The entrepreneur who sees what others can't. The CEO before anyone else could even picture the company. That energy, it's electric. It makes you unstoppable. You set trends, break molds, and challenge norms. But let's be real. This leadership energy doesn't always feel like a gift. Sometimes it's heavy, like carrying the world on your shoulders with no one to lean on. Because being the first means you don't have footsteps to follow. You carve your own trail, often with nothing but sheer willpower and a vision no one else understands yet. And that can be lonely. Have you ever felt like you had to figure everything out by yourself? Like asking for help made you weak? Like vulnerability was a luxury you couldn't afford? That's the burden of being a 1. You feel like you have to be the strong one, the capable one, the one who always knows the next step, even when you're completely lost inside. And when people look up to you, it reinforces that belief. You can't show doubt, can't show fear, can't pause to catch your breath. But that's the thing no one tells you. Being a trailblazer doesn't mean you always have to have it all together. Your strength isn't just in your power, it's in your perseverance, in your ability to keep going even when the light feels dim, when the path isn't clear, when the world expects answers, and all you have are questions. That's courage. That's resilience. That's the soul of a life path 1. And yes, you are independent, but that doesn't mean you're meant to do it all alone. Your challenge, your sacred lesson, is learning that asking for support doesn't make you any less of a leader. It makes you a stronger one. Because true leadership isn't just about leading the way. It's about knowing when to listen, when to receive, when to say, I don't have to do this all by myself. And that takes more strength than charging forward ever could. And then there's the pressure, the constant drive to succeed, to win, to prove something, to yourself, to the world, to anyone who ever doubted you. Sometimes that pressure fuels you. It lights the fire, but sometimes it consumes you. It makes rest feel like failure, makes slowing down feel like falling behind. But what if you could lead from a place of peace, not just pressure? What if your ambition didn't have to be a battle, but a dance? What if you could learn to trust the journey as much as the outcome? Because the truth is, life path ones are here not just to achieve, but to awaken, to embody a kind of leadership that inspires, not intimidates, that uplifts, not dominates, that creates space for others to rise alongside you. You don't have to be the only light in the forest. You're here to spark others, to help them find their fire too. And when you realize that your strength doesn't dim when shared, but grows, you step into your highest purpose. You become more than a leader. You become a guide, a visionary, a force of nature with the heart to match the fire. That's the true essence of being a one. Not just to lead, but to lead with soul. And that changes everything. But what happens when the fire inside burns too hot? When the same spark that makes you unstoppable also becomes the flame that scorches everything in its path. That's the paradox of life path number 1. You are a natural leader, yes, but even leaders can be consumed by the very force that drives them. For the one, control is a double-edged sword. You crave it, chase it, and sometimes cling to it, because deep down, it feels like control is the only thing keeping everything from falling apart. But when things don't go your way, when life throws curveballs, people disappoint you, or plans unravel, you don't just get frustrated. You explode. Or worse, you implode. Anger turns inward. The very traits you once wore, like armor, confidence, decisiveness, boldness, begin to warp. That self-assuredness can morph into arrogance, pushing people away. And if you're not careful, that same arrogance can crack, revealing something even more dangerous, a deep, paralyzing self-doubt. It whispers that you're not good enough, not fast enough, not strong enough. And the most dangerous lie of all, you don't need anyone. That's the voice of the shadow, the part of you that believes vulnerability is weakness, that depending on others is a sign of failure, that love, support, softness, those are for people who don't have to lead. But here's the truth, being a true leader isn't about standing above everyone else. It's about standing beside them. It's not about proving your worth through isolation. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you allow yourself to be seen. Yes, life path ones are born to stand out, to initiate, to rise. But you are also here to learn the power of collaboration, to understand that strength shared is strength multiplied, that trusting others doesn't diminish your light, it reflects it. And let's not forget the other shadow, impatience. You want results now. You see the big vision, and you get frustrated when others don't move as fast or think as boldly. But what if your impatience is just a disguise for fear? Fear that if you slow down, you'll fall behind. Fear that resting means losing momentum. But growth, real growth, doesn't happen in a rush. It unfolds. It requires patience, presence, and trust, not just in the process, but in yourself. The work for a one isn't just to lead, it's to lead with wisdom, with empathy, with the courage to say, I don't know it all, and I don't have to. Because when you allow yourself to be human, not just heroic, something shifts. Your leadership deepens, your connections strengthen. You become the kind of leader the world actually needs, not just someone who blazes trails, but someone who brings others with them, someone who leads not from ego, but from essence. And in that space, between power and humility, drive and softness, you find your true magic. You become the flame that warms, not just the fire that burns. The one who doesn't just go first, but makes the path safer for those who follow. That's the shadow work of the first. That's the alchemy. And when you embrace it, you don't just lead the world. You lead your soul to its highest truth. Healing for the one starts with one simple word: surrender. Not defeat, not giving up, but the kind of surrender that requires immense strength. The strength to let go of control, to stop gripping so tightly to perfection, power, and performance. It means surrendering the belief that your worth is measured only by your wins. It means stepping back from the constant proving, the endless striving, and asking a deeper question: who am I without the titles, the achievements, the applause? Because at your core, you are not just a leader, you are a soul on a journey. And like every soul, you're allowed to be messy. You're allowed to hurt, to doubt, to cry, to fall apart. The world doesn't need flawless icons. It needs leaders who are human, leaders who can admit when they're lost, who can rise from their own ashes and say, "I've been there. I know how it feels." That is what makes you magnetic. That is what makes people trust you, not your perfection, but your authenticity. Healing for a life path, one often begins when you stop fighting your emotions and start feeling them, when you stop trying to carry it all and allow yourself to ask for help. Because vulnerability isn't weakness, it's a superpower you've been afraid to touch. And surrender isn't passive. It's a conscious choice to open your hands, your heart, and say, "I no longer have to do it all alone." That's when the healing begins. When you stop outrunning your shadows and start listening to them. When you stop needing to control every outcome and start trusting the process. Your inner child, the part of you that once had to grow up too fast, who was taught to be the strong one, the achiever, the responsible one, deserves your love, deserves rest, deserves grace. And no one else can give that to you but you. You've led others for so long, but now your soul is asking you to lead yourself through the fog, through the fear, through the failures you pretend don't hurt, because they do, and that's okay. That's human. But here's the beautiful paradox. When you surrender the illusion of control, that's when you access your true power. Not the power that dominates, but the power that transforms. The power that comes from knowing exactly who you are, flaws and all, and showing up anyway. The power that says, "I'm not here to be everything to everyone. I'm here to be real with myself." That's the kind of leadership the world is starving for, and that's the kind of leader you were born to become. You're not just here to win. You're here to awaken. You're not just here to build empires. You're here to build integrity. And every time you choose truth over ego, softness over pride, connection over control, you take another step toward your highest self. So surrender, not because you're weak, but because you're finally ready to heal. And in that healing, you'll remember something your soul has always known. You were never alone in the first place. In love and relationships, the one needs someone who sees their fire and respects it. Because here's the truth. Being in a relationship with a life path, one is not for the faint of heart. Your energy is intense, passionate, and purposeful. You're not the type to love halfway. When you commit fully, with vision, drive, and a fierce sense of loyalty. But that same intensity can scare people. It can feel overwhelming to partners who crave calm over challenge. Some will try to shrink you, asking you to dim your light so they can feel more comfortable. Others will enter into competition with you, turning love into a power struggle. And then there are the rare souls, the ones who don't just tolerate your fire, but fan it. The ones who rise with you, side by side, knowing that love with a one is not about control or ego, but growth. Real, messy, soul-expanding growth. One partner once said of her life path, one husband, he always needed to win, even in love. And maybe that sounds familiar. Maybe you've caught yourself trying to prove you're right, to lead every conversation, to dominate rather than connect. But something beautiful happens when the one learns to soften. When they realize that true leadership in love isn't about taking charge. It's about creating safety. It's about listening more than talking, opening instead of defending, being present instead of perfect. That same partner went on to say, but when he learned to listen, to truly listen, everything changed. We didn't just save our relationship, he became the man he was always meant to be. And that's the invitation for every life path one in love. To recognize that your power is not in being the loudest or the strongest, but in being the most authentic. The one who can hold space for another without needing to control them. The one who can say, I see you, and I'm willing to grow with you. Because love for the one isn't a distraction from your mission. It's a part of it. The right partner doesn't slow you down. They sharpen you. They reflect back your deepest truth. And they hold you accountable to your highest potential. Now zooming out, beyond love, beyond relationships, if your life path one, you were born to start something that's never existed before. That's not just poetic, it's destiny. You're a blueprint breaker, a trailblazer, the one who walks into uncharted territory with nothing but a vision and the will to make it real. You're not here to fit in. You're not here to replicate what's been done. You're here to disrupt, to innovate, to dream up ideas that make people say, that's crazy, until you make them happen. You were designed to live on the edge of possibility. But with that calling comes fear, doubt, resistance. There are moments when the old version of you, the one who played small, who craved safety, will whisper, this is too much. Maybe you should slow down. Maybe you're not ready. And in those moments, you'll feel a choice. Stay where it's comfortable, or step into the unknown. That's the moment your soul has been waiting for, because every time you choose growth over fear, authenticity over approval, vision over validation, you align more deeply with your purpose. And make no mistake, your purpose is bigger than a job title. It's not about being the CEO for the sake of status. It's about the impact you make when you show up fully as yourself. When you say the thing that no one else is brave enough to say. When you build the thing that no one else was willing to build. When you become the person that your younger self desperately needed. So, what will you create? What revolution will begin with you simply saying yes to the fire inside? Because the world doesn't need more people playing it safe. It needs more ones saying, I'll go first. And if you're ready to go deeper, to uncover the full map of your sacred personality code, the full blueprint your soul wrote before you were even born, click the link in the description. Inside, you'll get your personalized decoder report. It's not generic, it's not vague. It's a deep, multi-layered look at the true architecture of who you are. Your life path is just the beginning. The real magic, it's what happens when you step into your full design. Unapologetically, powerfully, and with purpose. Because this was just the beginning.